You are watching Ukraine in the Know. It was a very busy weekend for both news and for our Territorial Defense Forces media team as we made a trip to the Eastern Front. But before we get to recapping that, moments ago, Deputy Defense Minister Hannah Mallor issued official updates from across the 600-mile, 1,000-kilometer front lines. And let's bring you that news. We'll begin in the northeast in the direction of Kupiansk, where Deputy Defense Minister has confirmed what we have heard from the troops ourselves. The attempts by the Russian invaders to break through our defensive lines in that area of Luhansk and Kharkiv Oblast is failing. The Russians are putting out a tremendous amount of firepower and managing to advance in almost zero capacity, while our defenders are keeping high morale in the face of this onslaught from the Russian occupiers of Luhansk, temporarily occupied Luhansk Oblast, and from across the Russian Federation. Moving to the east, she has also stated, Deputy Defense Minister Mallor, that we have now officially liberated 40 square kilometers in the direction of Bakhmut, with 3 square kilometers liberated just this week, and we are continuing to advance every day. Offensively, things are looking good in the direction of Bakhmut. Moving a little bit further south to an area where I was myself, along with our team, the Russians are attempting to take back different positions lost near Staromayorsk. However, this too has failed. Again, every place where Russia has attempted to create offensive opportunities for themselves, they are failing, as they have failed for most of this full-scale invasion. And then in the south, where we bring updates from Torian and Tavria directions almost daily, we can report that in the directions of Melitopol and Berdyansk, as Deputy Defense Minister Mallor has herself confirmed, we are continuing full offensive actions in the southern areas of Ukraine, across all of both the liberated and soon-to-be liberated parts of the country, on our way to recapturing all land and returning the country to its 1991 internationally recognized borders. So speaking of offensive actions, we were able to spend the weekend with the 7th Battalion of the Ukrainian Volunteer Army. What the Volunteer Army means is that those soldiers serving for Ukraine are doing so completely under contract. There's no one mobilized in the Volunteer Army. It's all volunteers as you would have in the United States. Morale is exceptionally high. And when we went and saw some of the areas they took part in liberating, and one of those areas that they did liberate, although we were not there, was Staromayorsk, we can state that despite the Russian attempts to push back, the valiant defenders of the defense forces, including our hosts from the 7th Battalion, are holding fast, and in fact are looking to be able to continue to push further east, because ultimately every member of the armed forces of Ukraine, as every resident and citizen of Ukraine also recognizes, that the battles will only be finished once we have achieved the complete deoccupation and full liberation of the Ukrainian lands, which also includes all of Crimea and the Donbass. We had very horrific news coming through on the heels of the attacks in Odessa last night. We have official reports that we've talked about in the past, but was brought up again, that more than 500 children have been murdered by the Russian war criminals. Russia is led by an already indicted dictator by the name of Vlad Putin. Vlad Putin can't travel anywhere because he is wanted on kidnapping charges by the International Criminal Court. He should also be indicted on murder charges. All the murder of these 500 children point back directly at him. There's no one innocent who is taking part in the Kremlin's full-scale war against Ukraine that is innocent of the blood of the children that is dripping from the hands of Vlad Putin. If you look at Putin's mouth, you'll notice that blood drips from it. He's a vampire, carrying out genocide against both Ukrainians and Russians alike. Vlad Putin bathes in the blood of innocent children and enjoys it. And this is why the dictator of the Russian Federation must be deposed, and why peace talks have to be focused on President Zelensky's 10-point peace formula and the full liberation of Ukraine. Moving ahead to a bit brighter news, this week we will be unveiling from Territorial Defense Forces Media Studios an original movie called Beyond the Peace. Beyond the Peace talks about the liberation and survival in Busha and other parts of the areas surrounding Kyiv, and we are going to be proud to bring it to you in both Ukrainian and in English. And so we want you to make certain to subscribe to our YouTube channel at TDF Media Studios as we are preparing to premiere that. It is definitely worth watching and is something that has shaken me, although I've seen atrocities up close. As we prepare for the evening, we understand that Russia will continue to carry out their terrorism against the civilians of Ukraine. And that's why we in the Defense Forces, whether it's the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the Interior Ministry, or any of the other services that are making certain that the country will be secured and liberated, to remind you to stay strong. We keep all of Ukraine in our prayers, the pilots, the sailors, the soldiers, and most importantly, the residents of this great nation. May this nation be blessed. Slava Ukraini.